When a newly hatched gull chick sees a red spot on its mother's beak, it immediately pecks at it. To us, it looks like a conscious decision, a young bird asking for food. In reality, that chick is running a rigid, pre-programmed biological script. You can see this clearly if you place a grotesquely large fake egg near a greylag goose. The animal will mechanically roll the object into its nest. The shape alone triggers an unstoppable sequence of movements. Biologists call this a fixed action pattern. It is an inheritable, hardwired instinct that runs to completion without any conscious reasoning involved. Once the environment presses play, the animal cannot pause the routine. Relying entirely on inflexible genetic code is a massive gamble. If an environment shifts abruptly, a creature unable to alter its behavior will simply run its outdated programming right into extinction. Instinct provides a highly reliable baseline for survival. But to navigate a chaotic, unpredictable world, evolution had to invent a more flexible set of tools. That next adaptation is individual learning, and it begins with the vital art of knowing what not to care about, a process called habituation. Look at these prairie dogs. In the wild, they sound an alarm and scramble down their burrows at every passing shadow. But if a colony lives right next to a hiking trail, panicking every time a human walks by burns massive amounts of energy. By learning to ignore harmless hikers, they conserve the calories they need to survive an actual predator attack. Moving up in complexity, animals can create entirely new mental links between unrelated events. In early experiments, researchers proved dogs could be trained to link a bell's ring with the arrival of food, physically salivating on cue. Other forms of learning are powerful, yet highly rigid. These goslings will faithfully follow their mother, but this imprinting process relies on a fleeting critical window right after hatching. If exposed to a different object during that brief period, they will blindly follow that instead. While early-stage learning provides crucial flexibility, it remains locked behind strict biological countdowns. It limits an animal's ability to adapt to complex problems on the fly. While individual learning helps a single animal adapt, certain species take a collective step forward through cultural transmission, where an innovation spreads across an entire group. In the 1960s, researchers observed a group of Japanese macaques living in an inland forest. When given sweet potatoes on the beach, one individual eventually figured out how to carry her potato to the sea and wash the sand off in the water. Over the next year, other macaques laying in close contact with her observed and adopted this technique. When they had offspring, the infants learned it too, birthing a localized, entirely unique animal culture. We often assume intentional teaching is an exclusively human trait. Marine apex predators prove otherwise. To catch seals, mother orcas will intentionally launch themselves into the shallow, highly dangerous surf. They alter their own behavior, taking on immense personal risk, specifically to encourage their young to attack prey on the shore. We see this teaching dynamic across entirely different biological classes. Adult New Caledonian crows sit closely with their adolescent offspring, demonstrating exactly how to construct and utilize branch tools to extract insects from tree holes. This shared knowledge acts like a behavioral bypass. It allows a population to pivot to new survival tactics within a few generations, shifting much faster than the thousands of years required for genetic evolution. All of these instincts, learned skills, and cultural behaviors ultimately converge in the most complex survival strategy of all, the society. This diagram shows a scattered prey group and an approaching predator operating on the brutal economic logic of the selfish herd theory. Joining a pack mathematically dilutes individual risk. Animals constantly maneuver toward the safe center, actively pushing peers out to the highly vulnerable perimeter. Living this densely packed requires a strict internal rulebook to prevent fatal fights over resources. Poultry establish a literal pecking order, a rigid hierarchy where dominance determines exactly who gets to eat first, maintaining stability in extremely tight quarters. Yet within these selfish systems, animals deliberately break from cover to draw a predator's attention. They decrease their own survival odds to protect the herd. This paradox is explained by the gene-centered view of evolution. Sacrificing yourself is a mathematically sound strategy if it ensures the survival of your shared genetic code in your relatives. Animal behavior is a highly optimized technology. From robotic reflexes to cultural tool use and complex social living, behavior is the ultimate mechanism for survival, proving just as critical as physical anatomy.